Hello, I'm Susan Woods of Susan Woods Nonprofit Solutions. Thank you for your time. I am continuing with the Black Lives Matter investigations, hashtag BLM investigations, in which I look into how each Black Lives Matter chapter operates. And I'm asking the question of each chapter, where is the money? Where is the money that people donate to the chapters to serve the Black community? In this video message, I am focusing on Black Lives Matter South Bend, Indiana. Where is the money? The reason that I am focusing on Black Lives Matter and investigating the chapters and the entities is because when I tried to make an investment in Black Lives Matter on the blacklivesmatter.com website, I was very disappointed in learning that there is absolutely no transparency, no accountability, no leadership, no structure for blacklivesmatter.com or any of its chapters and entities. To learn more about my background and what qualifies me to perform these investigations, I provided my information in the description of this video message. My website is www.trustsusanwoods.com. So let's get started. Black Lives Matter, South Bend, Indiana. Where is the money? Where is the money? So here are the Black Lives Matter chapters. These are the chapters that are listed on the Black Lives Matter website, blacklivesmatter.com website. And again, we are talking about the South Bend, Indiana chapter. We've already discussed, or I've already shared the results of the investigations for all of the chapters that are listed prior to this one. So you can refer to the YouTube channel to listen to the results of the investigations for all of the chapters that are listed before South Bend, Indiana. After South Bend, Indiana, I will talk about Toronto, Ontario, Waterloo, Ontario, Vancouver, British Columbia, and in the last few weeks, a new chapter was added on blacklivesmatter.com, and that chapter is Michigan. Michigan Black Lives Matter was just added, so I will cover that one as well. But right now, we're focusing on South Bend, Indiana. So for each investigation, I use a set of questions. And here are the questions that I seek to answer in the investigations. What are the leadership names of the South Bend, Indiana Black Lives Matter chapter? The mailing address, the phone number, the email or social media platforms. Is this chapter registered with Charity Navigator? Is it registered with GuideStar? Sorry about that. Does it have a filing with the Indiana Secretary of State office? Does it have a 501c3 status? Does this chapter accept donations? If so, how are the donations allocated? In other words, where is the money? And does this chapter provide financial transparency? All of these questions I seek to answer during the investigations for all of the chapters. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing this screen because I believe in the importance of showing you how I get to my answers. I could just go to another screen and give you the answers, but I want to show you the process that I use to get the answers for you. So I'm going to stop sharing for just one moment while I pull up the Black Lives Matter South Bend, Indiana website. So just one moment, please. Thank you for your patience. Again, I believe that it's important to share and to show where I get information from, not just to share the information, but to show you how did I go about getting it? How did I go about getting the answers? So now you are looking at the South Bend, Indiana um, website homepage. Okay. So Black Lives Matter South Bend, never again silenced, news and opinion. Okay. Now I searched through this website and I'm just going to tell you, I don't see a menu where I can click on to, menu normally, a website normally has a menu, and the menu normally has on it, contact information, what we do, the plans, all of these things. And I didn't find that. And I thought that was very unusual for a website. They tell you, let me scroll down and show you what they have. Okay. So there is a video that I'm going to come back to in just a moment. There's a video that's posted. There's a collage of pictures of things that have happened in Indiana in the Black community. So let's see what this says. It says here, despite the civil rights movement led by Dr. King and the changes to the American democracy that promised to be more inclusive, Black Americans in poverty continue to be stigmatized and spoken for in systems of we know best politics, where little can be said to counter these ideologies. We have a dream that we will realize Dr. King's dream in South Bend, and that will catch fire so Black Americans everywhere can find renewed hope. The first step is to consolidate our voice. Please hear us. Please listen. This starts now. We have also come to this hallowed spot, my Lord, to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. This is no time to engage in the luxury of cooling off or to take the tranquilizing drug of gradualism. Now is the time. Now is the time to make real the promise of democracy. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate valley of segregation to the sunlit path of racial justice. Now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksands of racial injustice to the solid rock of brotherhood. And that's an excerpt from a speech by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Um, Sadly, these words spoken over 50 years ago couldn't be more relevant to our plight today. Join us to realize the dream. So they reference the dream from Dr. King, and they have Blacktivist is now part of a national movement. We are now Black Lives Matter South Bend. Thank you, Dr. Melina Abdullah, for the wisdom, inspiration, and wisdom. I'm sorry, I'm bumbling up this my reading today for some reason. I apologize. And then you see the pictures, and apparently they have some concerns with the mayor, Pete Buttigieg. Not going to get into all of that. You can go back to this and read the information, but it seems like they're really focusing on him, and this lets me know that the page hasn't been updated recently to reflect what's changed. So let me click on the video here. Okay. Now this is the video that someone created to sort of serve as a narrative, a written narrative of what's going on. Okay, they're sharing some concerns about seemingly the lack of progress. Okay, so again, they are really providing some concerns or sharing some concerns about their mayor. So I'm not going to continue with this video. I'm just going to stop it here. And like I said, this is basically it. This is basically it. There is a post from a town hall meeting with the mayor and chief of police that happened on June 23rd, 2019. Um, Again, this is pretty much it. There's some, let me see. I don't know. I don't know. But there's not a menu where I can go to find out the leaders, the address or phone numbers or anything like that. So I'm just gonna stop here and I'm gonna move over to something else. Okay. So that's the Black Lives Matter South Bend, Indiana website. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm gonna check to see if Black Lives Matter South Bend is registered with the Secretary of State's office in Indiana. So just one moment while I pull up that page for you. Just one moment while I pull up that page for the Secretary of State's office. And I like to do this again because I don't like just to share or to say what I'm doing. I like for you to see what I'm doing. So I'm going to now share the page for um, the Indiana Secretary of State's office. And this shows the Black Lives Matter chapters that have filed articles of incorporation to work or to offer services in the state of Indiana. So as you can see, there is a Black Lives Matter active chapter in the state of Indiana with the registration at the Secretary of State's office. And this is the address, the principal address for that organization. However, we don't know if this is the same Black Lives Matter that we just looked at on the website. Or, in other words, does the website match with this entity? We don't know because the website didn't provide any information about the organization in terms of who is in charge. Clearly, Jordan Geiger here is in charge of this one because his address is listed as the principal office address. So if they are the same organization, if this matches up with the website, my suggestion would be to add this information to the website. And to get bonus points, is provide a link to your filing with the Secretary of State's office so no one will have a doubt that you do have the right, the privilege to operate in South Bend, Indiana, under the title Black Lives Matter South Bend. Now I'm going to go back a step. Uh-oh, I've probably been up for too long. Sorry about that. I'm going to go back to the home page again of this search for Indiana Secretary of State's office, and I'm going to search. Oh, I'll tell you this thing here. The capture, I have to do that again. Traffic lights. Okay. 1, 2, 3. I hope I got them all because I hate when I fail these things. Okay. So now I have shown that I'm not a robot. I've typed in Black Lives Matter for my search, and I'm going to click on search because I just want to show you something that I saw because this is not unusual. There was another one. There was another Black Lives Matter of Columbus and Columbus, Indiana, but this one is dissolved, so it doesn't exist anymore. But what's not unusual is the fact that when you go to different states, Secretary of State's offices, you may see 3, 4, 5 Black Lives Matter chapters that have filed their articles of incorporation or filed an application to operate in that state. So that's not unusual. But the sad part about that is it's so confusing to people who simply want to help. It's so confusing. And a lot of people don't go through the process of um, doing the research that I'm doing. They don't investigate, they just donate. And you might say, well, how can someone donate if they're not allowed to even operate in the state? Well, I would say ask Denver. Ask the Denver, Colorado Black Lives Matter that question because they've been revoked. The IRS revoked their status and they're still accepting donations, which is fraud. So it happens. And that's what dilutes the power and the value of Black Lives Matter because it's so disorganized, so grossly disorganized. But this one is dissolved, so we don't have to worry about it. It's already gone. Okay. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is pause the screen for just one moment and go to the IRS because if you've been following me and following these investigations, you know that I always go to the IRS because I want you to see whether or not a chapter is registered with the IRS, or if it has 501c3 status. So here I am at the site that I always go to check the status of Black Lives Matter chapters. And this is the tax exempt organization search page. And I've already typed in Black Lives Matter. And we already know that there are 13 Black Lives Matter chapters that had earned 501c3 status. And some of them don't have that status anymore. For example, the Black Lives Matter chapter in Charleston, North Charleston, South Carolina, does not have 501c3 status anymore because here's the entry here that says auto revocation list that lets you know that they are on the auto revocation list. So they don't have status anymore. But I'm looking for an entry for Black Lives Matter South Bend, Indiana. I don't see one here. I've already scrolled down and I know that they don't have 501c3 status because if they did, they would be listed here. So they don't have 501c3 status. So we can keep going. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to return back to the PowerPoint presentation so that I can present the results of the investigation. I've walked you through the steps to show you how I come about, or the process that I use rather, to get the results. So I'm going to go back to the results page and let you see the results of South Bend, Indiana, Black Lives Matter, the questions. We're going to get the answers to the questions. So now, here we are. Here are the investigation answers for South Bend, Indiana, Black Lives Matter. We didn't see any leadership names, mailing address, or phone number. There is an email or social media. It's not listed on Charity Navigator, and it's not listed on GuideStar because Charity Navigator and GuideStar track the performance of organizations that have 501c3 status. And since it doesn't have it, it won't be there. So I didn't even bother by going there to those sites. We don't know really if it's registered with the Secretary of State's office because we see that one that says Black Lives Matter South Bend is registered with the Secretary of State's office, but because the website doesn't provide any type of information that we can compare to the Secretary of State's filing, we don't know if that's the same one or not. So I just put no there. And it doesn't have 501c3 status. I didn't see a link for donations. So they're not asking for donations on that website that I could see, which is unusual. Normally, that's the first thing you see is a donate button, but I didn't see one. So I had no there. And so I couldn't say where donations are allocated because there's not a donate button. Normally, if there's a donate button and you click on it, then you can see that you can normally see where the money is going, whether or not the organization has a fiscal agent or, 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 or whether or not it uses PayPal, but you can normally see a little bit of where the money is going. But here we don't know because there was not a donate button. So then, therefore, we cannot say they provide financial transparency because we don't know if they take money or not. So here again, these are the answers to the investigation for Black Lives Matter South Bend. All right, that's it. So let's keep going. On this page, I am providing some comprehensive investigation results of the chapters that I've completed thus far. Now, I know that I need to do a second page to show more chapters that I've completed, but here are the chapters that I've completed thus far. And I'm going to add another page to show you the other ones. But for now, let's look at Global Network. It's called a Global Network Foundation. This is the home base. If Black Lives Matter had a structure, this would be the headquarters. So it's a Global Network Foundation. They've added the word foundation recently, even though they don't have foundation privileges or status from the IRS, they call themselves a foundation. And this is the one that's on blacklivesmatter.com. Also on blacklivesmatter.com, you see the list of chapters. So these are chapters: Boston, Chicago, DC, Denver, Detroit, LA, and Lansing. These are the chapters that are a part of the network. And I've just given you the answers to the questions for each one of these chapters. So Um, I want to point out the R on the Denver. You see IRS 501c3 status. The letter R means revoked. That means the IRS has revoked its privilege to request donations. But if you jump down to just the next row, you see that they're still accepting donations. And that's what I said before. They are committing fraud. That is a serious infraction. So someone needs to say, look, we're not going to do that anymore. And then you have the row donations allocated. The X means we have no clue as to where the money is going. So donations allocated is asking the question, where is the money? So X's mean we don't know. Okay. We don't know where the money is. X means a red flag there. So then financial transparency, you can see ends for that too. So these are the results of those first set of chapters. And again, I'm going to add a second page, a part 2, so you can see the other chapter results as well. So that takes me to where I stand personally on Black Lives Matter. I'm a Black woman. I was born and raised in South Carolina. I've had my share of dealing with racist behavior. So where I stand is this. I support the Black Lives Matter statement of fact. When somebody says Black Lives Matter, to me, that's a statement of fact. Of course, Black Lives Matter. And it does make me proud to see diverse groups of people marching for change on behalf of Black people. I do not support, however, the Black Lives Matter movement, chapters, or entities because they do not have formal leadership structure. You don't know who's in charge, measurable goals or objectives. There's nothing written to show me, okay, this is what you want to do, this is what we need to do. Common operational practices, all of the chapters that I've investigated thus far operate differently. There's absolutely no financial transparency or accountability. And I don't see any valid sustainability and long term plans in place. So I can't support that. I can't support if I gave $1,000, I would not know where the money went. I would not know how the money is used. I would not know at all. I would not have a clue. So I can't support something like that. The only thing I see Black Lives Matter chapters doing on their websites, the only thing they do, they just make demands. They make demands. I demand this. I demand change. Defund the police. I demand this. But what are you doing? You protest. What what are the results of the protests? Like Bishop T.D. Jakes said, protest needs to lead to policy. What policy changes are you implementing? I've studied movements, civil rights movements, the civil rights movement, excuse me. It was organized. It was a team of people, and there was a headquarters, and there was a clear leader. That's what we need here at Black Lives Matter. And it's not here. So this is where I stand. I can't support them. And I'm going to continue investigating Black Lives Matter so that people can have second thoughts about sending them millions of dollars that's not being used to benefit the Black community. Okay, I'll step off my soapbox now. What's coming up next? Coming up next is episode number 16, which is Black Lives Matter Toronto, Canada. I'm going to take a closer look at the Black Lives Matter Toronto, Canada chapter and answer those same questions regarding that particular chapter. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You should see the subscribe button on the bottom right corner, or you can click on the subscribe button so that you can stay abreast of these investigations and also so that you can learn how to start, fund, manage, sustain 501c3 nonprofit organizations. I have videos posted for that. And I also have videos posted to teach you how to write grant proposals. So my YouTube channel is not all about Black Lives Matter Toronto, Black Lives Matter. It's not about just about that. It's about educational services for nonprofit leaders. Thank you so much for your time. Again, I'm Susan Woods of Susan Woods Nonprofit Solutions. Have a great day.